Okay, oh wow, the music's so loud. Okay. Hello, howdy, hi, welcome, come on in. Thank you. Bobby Salt account 75. Thanks for showing up and being here. I appreciate it. Bit of an intimidating name. But I still appreciate you being here. I hope you guys are excited. I'm excited. I think this is a fun idea. Just art advice. I'm getting the canvas ready, don't worry. Yeah, just art advice. And I'm not gonna call myself master artist extraordinaire or anything. But, I don't know, I know a little bit about what I'm doing, and at any rate, art advice can always be useful, even from a beginner, because you don't have to be good at art to be able to recognize where art can be improved. And also I want to make sure everyone keeps in mind that oh, it might be Bobby's alt account. I also want everyone to keep in mind that art advice is always up to you to decide if it's valuable or not. It could be an artist you really value, whose opinions you really value, but their advice might not always jive with you and your process. So just because I suggest something doesn't mean it's the only way to do anything. As always, it's just we're all gonna have fun drawing and talking about art today. I'm saving this canvas. Hang on. Art advice. Great. Okay. Coolio. It's not a new top. I've had this for a while. This is my summer outfit, is what I call it. And I chose this one, because it's summertime, and so it's hot, but also because it's got rainbow socks, so I'm also celebrating Pride Month. My necklace also has a rainbow heart. It's just a little harder to see. I'm kind of small. Hang on. There you go. Celebrating the Pride Month as well. Look at us. Look at us being so proud of all you out there. Hang on, let me open up my beverage, and then we can get going. Here from the gym. Turns out I'm not financially stable for it. Dang. I'm drinking an energy drink. I've seen everyone drinking these lately. They're called, like, Alani. I see everyone drinking them. They came out of nowhere. They're so tasty. They're only like 10 calories. Hashtag not sponsored, but but big recommend from me. Because they're also like, they're no sugar, but they don't have that issue that I've encountered with other zero sugar energy drinks where somehow they taste more sweet. It's recommend. That's my purpose. I don't know you. No, that's my purse. I don't know you. Sorry, I just saw the Bobby comments. I got reminded. That's the only thing I know Bobby Hill for. Is that's my purse. I don't know you. Yeah, you can call this Twiins in summertime. Absolutely. But let's get to some art advice. Yeah. I tweeted about it, and some of you had some questions. So let me pull those up. Oh, good, Excalibur's here. So we'll start with yours, since you had some ding-dangle questions. Okay, you had a couple. So, what is the right arm length? Here. Let me just grab the whole tweet. I'm copy and pasted it in. Hang on, I need to find my mouse. Okay. Let me just grab this real quick. Cool. Copy. Okay, great. This way I don't need to keep you guys hidden from my line of sight. There we go. I'm working on a pretty big canvas. Look, it's Excalibur, it's you. Only place you can afford is a Pokemon gym. Personally, I don't like the idea of a gym just because I'd get all self-conscious exercising in public anyway. Which I know is ludicrous, but it still stands. So, Excalibur's questions. First question, what is the right arm length? So, when standing, and for a lot of these, my suggestion is going to be to look up a reference. References can often help. I've spent a lot of my personal time. What is this? Oh. Why is my brush so tiny? I've spent a lot of time really floundering around trying to figure out the length of arms and how to do them right. So it's a tough question. But when at a standing pose, and you can test this out by standing up yourself and putting your arms just down, just in a normal standing position. So we got a guy. Got a fella. Hang on. Okay. And he's got legs. And knees. And then foots, and he's like facing us. The legs are actually kind of short and too fat. But so there we go. That's good enough. Just a quad heavy fella. Arms when standing. The tips of your fingers hit above the knee. A little below the halfway point of the thigh. Your elbow will reach your hips, and then your forearm, and then your hand, and then the tips of your fingers. Your bicep and your forearm are the same length. Keep that in mind. So, you got an arm, and there's the elbow. This, from where there's like a joint here at your shoulder, and then there's a joint here at your elbow. Your forearm and your bicep, so forearm and bicep, are the same length. Bend your arm right now and you can see that your wrist matches up with your shoulders. So there you go. That's how you keep track of arms. And if you find your arms look too short or too long, make sure they are the same length, on both, sides of your elbow. And adjust accordingly. It might be an issue that the rest of your body is not proportioned right. If your torso, for example, if you're drawing your torsos too short, hang on. Yeah, if you're drawing your torsos too short, not accommodating for all the guts and stuff we've got in there, then your arms will end up looking too long. And vice versa. If you got a too short torso, your arms will end up looking too long. And if your torsos are too long, your arms will end up looking too short. So and you'll have the same issue with your legs as well. Probably. But maybe not. So yeah, that's the biggest tip on arm length. A bonus tip, how do you get proportions right? You just have to, quite frankly, you have to look at people. You gotta study references. I highly, highly, highly recommend looking up reference images, drawing real people. Because even if you draw a stylized art, like Grim Magic, people don't look like Cinderella. With big ol' eyes and everything. No nose. But if you know the basics, you can break the rules. You know what I'm saying? Bonus fact, your wingspan. So here you are, and you can test this out yourself as well. You're standing, and you've got your arms out. Hang on, let me draw the chest. You've got your arms out. Like you're going in for a big hug. And it's on both sides. Your wingspan is the same as your height. From fingertip to fingertip, that is the same distance as your height. From head to toe. And so if you have to do what I just did every time, and literally draw one of those, and then draw accordingly, there you go. But yeah, that's how you can get, work on your, arm length proportions. Ranger, absolutely feel free to post your question here. Just keep in mind, it might take me a second to get to it. And don't be afraid to remind me. If I go, what's the next one? Don't be afraid to be like, me next. How do you keep a consistent art style? Let me write that down. You know, maybe I'll just do that. I'll write down questions people have. Tip top. Tip top. How do you keep a consistent art style? How to keep consistent art style. So I'm typing around my mic, which is why I'm not gonna spell things good. Don't judge me. I know it's good to change it sometimes, but I hate it when I change my characters every week. Okay, cool. Yeah, we will return to you, Tip Top. But let's get more of Zero or Excalibur's questions underway. We can get rid of all these example boys. I guess we'll leave him around. Measures height, breaks it in half. Okay, yeah. How do you draw muscles, both small and large ones, for both arms and abs for women and men? That was a complicated sentence. And how do you draw chests for men and women at different angles? Okay, starting with muscles. Thank you! Oh my gosh. Out with a yang. Well, hello there. I appreciate you showing up. We're talking about muscles right now. So, the biggest thing, I'm not great at drawing muscles. I'm gonna say the biggest thing is, as always, get a reference image. You can learn the most from looking at real life. What I have learned is, so larger muscles, okay. We've got an arm. And like, it's bent at the elbow here. And you know, then there's a hand down there. We don't need to focus on the hand too much. Okay. So, if you want to add muscle to this, then muscle will grow here, where your muscles are, but also it will grow on the other side. It is proportionate. And it often does not just affect one part of the arm. If you're working out, unless you want your character to look like Popeye, then you don't want to just have one part of their arm develop. And so that's my biggest tip. Drawing larger muscles means keeping things proportionate across the arm. Also, sly tip, add more lines to imply dimension. My music stopped. Add more lines to imply dimension. You know, like how I just did right there. It conveys that there is a shadow where the muscle, you know, lies, kind of a thing. Smaller muscles, you know, just smaller lines, bigger muscles. It's tough to get too big because eventually you start looking like Frankie from One Piece, you know? Which can be swell, but might not be what everyone's looking for. I'm not great at drawing abs. I gotta say, I can't help you too much there. They're the same for men and women, really. You draw, like, this is how I do it. You've got, like, your torso area. And then, like, the idea of a six-pack. And then that's usually as far as I get. I'm not good at drawing abs. So, unfortunately, I can't assist you too much with that one. I appreciate the ask, but I'll always be willing to let you guys know that, if I'm not good at drawing something. Again, I'd suggest look up a reference and make sure you're drawing what you see, not what you think. I see that happen a lot. I'll grab a reference image. Here. Shirtless man art ref. Sometimes you're gonna have to Google, some scary words if you're not used to, looking up things like shirtless men. You're gonna have to, get used to that if you want to draw shirtless men. Copy. Okay. Same with ladies. Gonna have to Google some things you might not be Googling otherwise. What I see a lot is that people they'll be working with their reference image, but then they won't be looking at it enough, and so they're kind of just copying the pose. What I suggest is if you're drawing a reference, you have to really be focusing on all the details. You need to focus on the distance, and it's going to be rough and loose. You can't go in expecting to crank out a perfect piece of art right away. You're gonna most likely have to build it up. And make sure you zoom out. If you're not zooming out, then you get stuck in one thing for forever. We gotta get rid of him. I don't want Twitch to ban me for drawing porn or something. Hang on, I gotta look at chat. You guys got a couple of things. I want to make sure I'm not missing any of you guys. But what if, say, just hypothetically, my arms were long and my legs were short? Not saying I'm a chimpanzee. Nothing has been proven in a court of law. Then hypothetically, you could go get yourself a banana and enjoy drawing whatever you want. Ranger's got something here. When you draw multiple characters with specific different heights, for example, like one is 170 centimeters and another is 160 centimeters, how do you determine their height difference when standing next to each other? Do you visually scale down or something else? This is a quick question. I can answer that quickly. Personally, I don't care about the specific number for heights. I just care about where they stand next to each other. I couldn't tell you a hard height for anyone, but if you got characters who are different heights, I keep track of where their heads land on each other. We got, Tall Man McGee and then Short Man McGillicuddy, and just trying to make sure that Short Man McGillicuddy, when both standing upright, is around the halfway point of Tall Man McGee. That's the thing I pay attention to. And I'll also say, heights are gonna fluctuate. You're going to end up with a panel where, Short Man McGillicuddy is actually, ends up being, here. Sometimes framing will just end up doing that to you. I'm gonna say don't fret about it too much, unless the point is a character is, demonstrably shorter than the other, in which case, again, I suggest you just look to, using other characters as scale reference. That's that flamin' hot tip. And Excalibur's final question here was, how do you draw chests at different angles? Once again, I suggest look up references like how I just did. You can add things like, shirtless, or you don't even have to do shirtless. Art reference, chests, angles, and you'll get lots of free, just Google images to work with. I will say, ladies are harder. Ladies are significantly harder than men, in my opinion, because men are flat, we got a chest facing forward, and then accommodate for the traps. These things, these big shoulder things, the things that are humongous on Tien Shinhan, I believe those are called your traps, and make sure you accommodate for them. They will help a lot. But foreshortening matters. How you use your line work or shade work matters a lot. A chest facing straight on, a chest angled down. Ladies are harder because boobs are weird. When in doubt, if you're drawing a girl and you're at like, you know, some weird angle. So I often don't start drawing the breasts. I'll kind of just draw like where the ribs would be and then put titties onto her as I go. When in doubt, if you're drawing at a weird angle, don't be afraid to break them down into shapes. And then, you know, you got your rough here, and then you go in with your clean line work. And you know, don't draw all of the angles and things, but maybe you add some of them to make sure you don't lose that dimension you just worked so hard on illustrating. So, breaking things down into shapes can often be a good way to help you keep things looking consistent at different angles. I will say as well that the larger the breasts, the harder it is to draw them, at least personally, because they also they're just weird. Whether what you're wearing changes their physics, and just by default, breasts they're fat. They have a consistency like water balloons, so that they don't just go out, you know, like torpedoes. They angle, and the bigger they are, the weirder that angle gets. So, looking up references and breaking things down into shapes are the biggest tips I can give for you there. A bonus tip, though, this is true for both men and ladies. Your chest ends at your armpit. Armpit goes right there. So don't draw your boobs. Don't be drawing your lady and everything. And, you know, you got your armpit and then, like, you know, she's doing, like, some arm thing. Okay, cool. Don't draw your breasts and have them kind of just go wherever. They stop here. At the tit, at the armpit. The tit and the pit, they are connected. And that can help you keep track of where to put things as well. That also means if you raise your arm, it affects how, because then your armpit's up here, it affects how a chest will be. But that's some pretty high level stuff. So yeah. Just be aware. And let me look at chat again. Let me look at you guys. For chest angles in particular, I recommend drawing a 3D box to help know what will be visible. That can help. I suggest make it, like, if you're gonna draw a 3D box, I recommend, in your head, make it a squishy box. Like, a malleable one, not a cardboard one, because bodies are pretty squishy, and I feel like people often end up, they'll be like, my poses look so stiff, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, and it's because, you know, you're restricting yourself to thinking of the body as very rigid. Sometimes all you need is a mindset to change. But that's just a small tip from me. That's what the whole stream is. It's all tips. Your chest ends and your armpits. My music stops. Spookily. Shookethly, rather. But Excalibur wasn't the only one that had asked a question, what about metal or styrofoam box? Like for the human body? Only if they are a robot. But yeah, Excalibur wasn't the only one that had replied with a question. Oh, Azazel's also here. Neato. We'll start with Coral Palettes question. Let me grab this. Real quick, we can slap this into the stream as well. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Edit, copy. Bring it back on over. And then we'll get don't worry, I'm gonna do my best to make sure to get to everyone. I'm here all day. Ain't no one can stop me. How do you draw texture? That depends on the texture. Texture can often just be, this is a quick one, can often just be in the background. If you've got a brush, if you're working digitally, brushes can be your best friend when it comes to texture. Otherwise, it depends on your texture. Are you drawing something fuzzy? Then, you know, make fuzzy line art. Or are you drawing something wet? Then their texture will come through with how you shade it. And add shine as well. Metal also is conveyed a lot in the coloring process. So it really, really does depend on the texture you're working with. Often texture is the most easily conveyed through color. Color and shading. But Coral Palette asks, do you have any advice on clothing patterns? I've been trying to fancy up my clothes with some patterns, but I always end up doing random swirls or odd square shapes. Help. Clothing patterns are hard, I must say. It's why I often have characters wearing one tone. I will say, as always, look up references. If you're drawing a kimono, you know, that's got a pretty different clothing pattern options versus even something in a similar, I was gonna say like, you know, what we wear today, where it's just a graphic tee, but even, you know, a kimono versus what a samurai would wear. Like, those are pretty different. So, looking up references can teach you a whole lot. In an instance where you're just drawing, you're out and about, and, you don't, like, have your phone on you or something, and you want to add some texture, or add a pattern to your art. Step one is make sure it looks good. At the end of the day, if you're drawing something that is pleasing, then that's all you need. But for some actual advice, Okay. Well, let's get a man in here with a cool shirt that we can add some textures to. Just a guy. He's just a fella with some hair. He doesn't need to be anyone special. Handsome McGillicuddy. That's what we'll call him. Okay, he's so fashionable, everyone likes his clothes. But what do I do? Okay, so, and he's wearing a shirt. Just like a button-down shirt, but you want to zhuzh it up somehow. Great, okay, so, option one, focus on the rim of things. You will see this a lot in Genshin Impact. Basically, start by following the trim of the clothes. And then if you want to fancy it up from there, oh my gosh, Genital War Thunder! I recognize your name. That's one you don't forget. And then if you want to fancy it up from there, basically just add bullshit and then erase the lines. And this can go as far as you want it to go. You know, you can keep, you know, like adding things, you know, for hours on end from this point. They don't have to be symmetrical like how I just did. Basically, I would say keep track of, you know, where the outfit's going. Generally speaking, I don't want to add a million things to any given outfit, but if it's like a really fancy brouhaha kind of outfit, then you know what? Fuck it. Keep adding fancy things. No one can stop you. And basically, just zhuzh up the edges. You can also add some buttons to help break up anything you feel like might be not super flying. The other option is, I'm gonna say, just go with a basic pattern across the whole thing. You know, if you don't want all this trim stuff, if you're like, oh no, I want it to just be a cool pattern, but I don't want any of this, like, fancy trimming or whatever, then my suggestion is stripes. Add some stripes. Stripes adds a lot of flavor. Wow, look at that. We got so much flavor. And that can go vertically or horizontally, or make a gingham and basically just do stripes both ways. I feel like that's the safest options you've got, but I will also concede I am not a pattern expert. Once again, I'm gonna say look up real textiles, and you can find more interesting things like adding, you know, like flowers or something. I think that's a good thing to keep in mind as well. For things that might be more of just like a pattern, like let's say we got a girl, we're not gonna put as much effort into her as Handsome Chan. So we got a girl, and you know, she's wearing these like cool leggings. And you're like, oh, but I want, you know, something going on these leggings. You know, how do I add a pattern? Choose a quarter of them and put it there. So choose like the bottom quarter or the top quarter and add your pattern there and have it kind of disperse down. So, oh man, I want a flower pattern or a circle pattern or whatever it is. Yeah, choose your quarter and then have it kind of fade up. I would suggest avoid having it like go fully beyond the knee. Otherwise it might end up feeling like too much. And I'm stay at the edges is what I'll say. By all means, there are no rules to art. You could have, you know, a flower pattern just at the knee, but I feel like that could end up looking weird. Most people don't do that, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, those are my advices on how to handle clothing patterns. Heard Twiins was late. I was too. I got distracted watching Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Yo! That cartoon was sick. Cartoon was Superfly. But yeah. There you go. That's my tip there. Now let's do Tip Top's question. We'll get that going. We can get rid of all these. We've got a lot of chests on screen. Hang on. I guess that one can stay. It looks nice. But yeah, Tip Top asked how to keep a consistent art style. I don't know why I waited on this one. The big answer really is to just do it consistently. Practice. It helps. And that doesn't mean, you know. Okay, I drew my guy. Okay, I drew my guy. And then doing that, you know, 3 more times. Okay, great. You're not learning anything. You're learning how to draw your guy from one angle. In order to practice a consistent art style, you need to just do it consistently. Like, drawing consistently. And you can't just draw the same character over and over again. If you want to practice a consistent art style, you need to recognize that sometimes characters will look different. And so, you know, you might have one with big eyes who, you know, one with big eyes and, you know, hair that you don't draw very often. It's just turning into Cinderella. And they still need to look consistent. Your art will gain a consistency the more you do it. You also need to draw from different angles. You need to learn how to do that. And so then, you know, then next you got like a character with like real sharp eyes. You gotta draw different characters, and basically I'm gonna say if you're annoyed that your art changes, you might be the only one who can see these changes. Throughout your art adventure. But the bigger thing is, I would ask, what is it that isn't being consistent about your art? Like, what are you finding happens to end up being different every time you draw? Because that matters a whole lot. If it's just, you know, like, the whole thing, you know, then we're working with a really different question than I can't draw noses from different angles. At which point I'm gonna say, don't worry too much about it. Don't worry too much about it. Your art will become more consistent just the more you do it. Including new art styles. You know, if you decide I want to draw some new thing today, you know, in a new way. I usually draw like this, but now I want to try to draw realism. That's great. You just have to keep doing it, and your arm will learn, you know, how to move appropriately. So yeah, I need a drink. Hang on. Watch Twiins Inc. while also watching Shrek is something special. What Shrek character am I the most like? If you say Shrek, you're banned for all of eternity. Yeah, she's got 1,000-yard stare, doesn't she? She's going through it. Donkey, I can jive with Donkey, honestly. Someone else had replied to the tweet. Yeah, Azazel, let me grab this. And then we can, bring it on in. I'm realizing right now I should have read it before copying and pasting it. I trust Azazel, but were I a bigger YouTuber, a bigger streamer, that would have been a dangerous thing to just grab whatever the fuck someone said and slap it into stream. Boink. But I've been following the YouTube for like over half a decade. It has been a long time. God damn. Ew. Okay. I know I'm late, but do you have any advice for line stability to be more specific? How do I not draw super thick lines naturally? Oh, and if you can answer this as well, then tell me any advice on how to start shading with digital. Okay, so for line stability. Hang on. We're magic. Da da da. I'm rearranging the entire layout. If you're working digitally, let me move my giant head. Okay. Do you see under anti-aliasing stabilization right there? Do you see that? You can increase that. And that will help you if you draw a straight line. That will help you draw a straighter line if you have trouble doing it consistently on your own. If you're working traditionally, like on paper, you're just gonna have to learn. It's gonna be a muscle thing. You're going to, it's genuinely, it's basically you have to work out your arms. Which I know kind of sounds like no fun, but it's the truth. You will, oh, hang on, we're fine, okay. The more you work your arm and holding it steady, it will be a workout as you draw, but yeah, basically practice, get good. And I know that's not useful, but working traditionally is difficult. Rulers can be your friend if you're drawing a straight line. If you're drawing a curved line, and you're still worried about it not being super, like if you're, drawing a curved line and you end up, drawing circles like Squidward at the end of that one episode every time. Practice makes perfect. I will also say, there is nothing wrong with having to take a lot of strokes to do something. If that gets you a result better, then there you go. Oh, we got more questions. Okay, let me write those down really quick and then we will return to you, Azazel. So that's step 1 for helping you. But hang on. I'm lost in my menus. Put you right there for now. Okay. Tip Top asks another question. Odd question, but sometimes I want to draw a sexy character without it being sexy. Like I want a character to have that vibe but not be fan service. At the same time, is that possible? Sexy, but no sex? Question mark. Hopefully I remember what that means. And James Fire has the question, how do you get a good/decent color palette for a character? Hair, eye, skin, and clothes. Playing my OCs feel like they could be better if a color or two were more or less saturated. I love color questions. Let me put James Fire. It's technically Firefox, but that's fine. Color palette for character. And then I will add, what do you have here? Hair, eye, skin, and clothes. Okay. Great. Amazing. Love those questions. We will return to them. But we're gonna finish up Azazel up here first. It only makes sense for us to go in order. How does one ask a question? Just ask. If you highlight it, that helps so I can see it easier. But don't be afraid to just ask a question. I'm trying to do my best to make sure I keep my eye on you guys so I can see if any questions come around. But yeah, just throw it on out there. You can also, I theoretically replied to the tweet, but I'm looking at you guys more right now. So I guess I'll check in on the tweet as we wind down. What was your second half of your question? How do I not draw super thick lines naturally? If you are naturally drawing really thick lines... Okay, if you're naturally drawing really thick lines, going into your settings for your pen, if you're working digitally, I also have a very heavy hand. When I illustrate. So, unless if I'm sketching, which is hilarious. That's why my handwriting is so bad. Fun fact, because I write really light, and it means that it's impossible to fucking see. But, you can go into your settings and basically make it so that no matter how, like, basically max out your weight thickness, so then you're not stuck painting humongous, you know, swatches every time you put down your pen. Otherwise, you have to just learn to let up. But you can do that by practicing adjusting in pressure. And you can do that with traditional work as well. You can, at home, have a pen or a pencil, and it doesn't even have to be a wiggly line like that. You can just do a straight line, make it thicker, make it thinner, make it thicker, make it thinner. And just practice like that. And if you can answer this as well, tell me any advice for how to start shading with digital art. Yes, I can do that. Hang on. I see a lot of things in chat. Want to say vibe? Oh, talking about the sexy question. Twiins, any hand finger drawing tips, especially when they are foreshortened? Fuck, foreshortening is hard. I will get to you, Excalibur. Even though you said I would be like Shrek. Excalibur. Hand Doko. That's where. Doko is where. Okay, how to start shading digitally. Yes, I can show you. So, I need a picture. I need to, we'll work with her. She looks great. Let me find that. Okay. And then we've got a skin tone down. Just choose a skin tone. Oh, not on the same layer though. So, I'll scoot my screen over again. We're going to be looking at behind the scenes once again, so you guys can see what I'm doing over here, because we're working with layers now. Wow. So make sure you keep your eye over to the right as well, and I'll be pointing to things as we get there. So, that's the layer that my line art's on. And then personally, I always have a layer underneath it for colors, so then I don't mess up my line art. If you're working with a painterly style, you might want to do it differently. Allison, for example, does not use line art. But this is just how I approach it. Okay, great. So now we got a color. We're gonna keep the line art blue because it doesn't matter. So option 1 is, first you need to understand how to shade. You see me over here on my triangle. A lot of people will just go straight down. And that's not going to work. Well, I mean, it theoretically works, but if you want a more value-rich shading, you will go diagonally back and forth for your values. So for like round 1, and we just want to, and we're just shading directly onto the same layer as the skin, as my color. You need to know, you need to know how shadows lie, where they fall on a person. You will learn this by studying references, looking at the real world, etc., etc. So there we go. We got a shade down, and now we're going to move. We went down to the right one. Now we're going to go closer towards my gray line for like heavy shadows. And not everything needs a heavy shadow, keep in mind. I see people, and I do this too, I struggle with, going too far in the shading. And then, hang on. Be aware that not everything needs to be fully maxed out in terms of shadows, is what I'm saying there. Wow. And then, you can always blend. You've got a blending tool. Blending shadows can help things feel a little bit more alive. You don't want to blend everything. You want to blend things that basically touch the edge of where light begins to change across a body. And then I suggest also add some shine. Add some shine. Shine is at its most effective when it is right next to a shadow. And you can blur that as well. Wowee, wow willikers. Option 2, that is a lengthy process. The second option is the easy option. So let's color her in again. I know, I'm not looking at you guys. I'll come back to you in just a second. This is kind of a detailed system to break down. Great. So, over here in my layers, let me move my jar so you guys can see more easily. Boink. Okay, over here in my layers. This is the layer we're on. Layer number 5. Ooh, that's too low. Hang on, let me wander around with my my window again so you guys can see. Okay. We're on layer number 5. That's what layer my skin is on. You make a new layer. And set this. This is your, what the flavor of your layer. They all default to normal. We're going to set it to multiply. And then we're going to pick, you can either go with a dark reddish orange or a dark blue. It depends on basically the lighting. And you can just go in, just like how we just did. I like to lower the opacity at this stage as well, just to help, make sure I can keep track of things. Great. And then we can fill bucket that in. And then you can lower the opacity some more to, depending on the intensity of the light. So there you go. Those are your 2 different ways of doing it. You cannot fuse this layer with the layer below. Well, actually you can. Yeah, you can then just theoretically fuse your layers together if you're into that. And then you got 2 different ways to do shade. And you can also blend it like how we did previously. You can also add more more values like how we did previously. But those are basically my 2 ways of approaching shading. But let's get rid of naked lady colors. Hi, Vincent. Hello. Okay. Have you said anything of note? No. Okay. Okay, the hand and finger question. Wanna draw, but my local stores don't sell pencils anymore. Personally, I draw with with a mechanical pencil. You don't need fancy art supplies to be an artist. Use whatever is comfortable for you. I use a mechanical pencil. Allison uses a mechanical pencil. Critter uses a mechanical pencil. Critter's digital art, I think she still does. If it's not in GIMP, which is a totally free thing you can download, she uses MS Paint as well. You don't need anything fancy. So yeah, if you can't get artist pencils, it's just a pencil. There's nothing too special about it. So go to Target and get yourself a pack of mechanical pencils, and you'll still be able to go. Anything of note. Anything of note. Oh no, I mean number 2 pencils, or even lead pencils. Well, yeah, push comes to shove, Amazon exists. You can go to Amazon and order whatever you need there. You can find a pencil somewhere, I'm sure. Nearest Target is 15 miles away. If you're gonna... Excuses are not a valid answer. If you want a pencil, you can find one. You can order one online. If Target is too far away, there is Walmart. There are local grocery stores. You can probably get one at a Circle K or any local Quickie Mart. You check your Goodwill or other like secondhand stores. Do you go to school? Ask your teacher if you can have a pencil. Do you go to a job? Ask your boss. Hey, do we have any pencils around here? Is there a pen? You can get a pen. If you can't find any writing utensils anywhere at all, then order online. If you cannot order online, then go outside and draw in the dirt if you want to draw. And I know that sounds like I'm being rude, but as someone who has had to do that before, yeah, when you have no paper, no paper lying around, nothing to draw on, nothing to draw with, but the urge to want to draw, then you can find ways to express yourself. You just won't be able to post it online, you know? Draw in the dirt. Find rocks. If you get a big rock and then a little rock, you can scratch the big rock with a little rock. Do you have like a crummy shed? You could probably score into the shed with a knife. What I'm saying is, it sucks if you can't get a pencil, but you were only stopped by your own lack of creativity. And I hope you will gain access to pencils soon. If I'm drawing in the dirt, I'm posting it. Next up, we're going bottom to top, because I ordered them that way. Oh, right. Tip Top want to know about how to make someone sexy, but without making them outright fan servicey. Also, I can get rid of Azazel's comment here. Great. So... others were answering you while I was going on, and I think they're right in that vibes do matter a lot. How they present themselves. If it's a comic, it's easy mode, because you get to work with dialogue. If they can kind of talk about, and talk and be sexy and how they speak, then you got a leg up. If you're just drawing illustrations, but you don't want, like, a girl with her whole titties out, or whatever it is, a fella wearing basically no clothes, Their vibe matters a lot. How one stands conveys a lot of character. You know? We got you got a character who stands like this, holding onto their arm. And that doesn't strike me as particularly sexy. You got a character that stands with a sassy hip out. That's more sexy. Sexy characters are often confident, because confidence is inherently sexy. Someone who is happy and sure of themselves, not cocksure. That's the big thing I think fellas especially tend to mix up. There's a difference between confidence and cocky. A cocky character can also be sexy. But they might also come across like they're trying too hard. You see what I'm saying? So we got 3 different characters, you know, based on how they just hold themselves. Body proportions don't matter at all. Your character is not inherently more sexy, you know, if they've got banging titties and a huge ass, you know? A flat-chested girl can be just as sexy as, you know, a girl rocking, like, G-cups. So, I'm gonna say pose matters a lot, but also how they just carry themselves in terms of facial expressions will also do a lot of heavy lifting. Which one is the sexier character? This one? Or that one? Which one is sexier? The answer is the second one. Those are sexy eyes. Think about every sexy, quote-unquote, character in cartoons. You know, Tom and Jerry, they're running around and then... Or Bugs Bunny wants to distract some guy. And they always become a girl. You know, they dress up and they're like, oh man, we're gonna distract some guy. I'm Bugs Bunny. I don't know what Bugs looks like. Bugs Bunny eating my carrots. And they dress up as a sexy girl by having half-lidded eyes, usually with a lot of eyeliner with its like shine on it. Half-lidded eyes and big eyes, big pupils. You know, think about that stereotype. And then it's, you know, it's Bugs Bunny. Or whatever the fuck. So, facial expression, how they hold themselves, you know, physically, and how they present themselves in, you know, how they emote, matters a lot. This character, by all means, could also be super sexy. They could be an absolute 10. But if you're just trying to swiftly convey a character, this one certainly doesn't look as sexy right off the bat as this one. Great question, though. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Preference, I'm gonna say no. Like, if you're just trying to draw a sexy thing, like, obviously you're gonna have preferences. But I can draw a sexy woman, even though I'm not attracted to women. You know, I can draw a sexy twink, even though I prefer stronger boys. Like, obviously your sexy fan servicey art can skew towards your preferences, but that's not the only thing that you can rely on, and it's not the only thing that I'm gonna say you should focus on. Unless, you know, all you care about, you just want to draw, you know, big titty girls. That's your preference. You're like, I love plus size ladies. That's all I want to do. I want to draw sexy plus size girls. You know what? Do it. Live your best life. And you're like, I don't care about drawing anything else, then that's super okay. But also recognize that you can't expect everybody to recognize your preference when your first goal is to draw sexy. Sometimes you need to lean into a stereotype first. What was James's big long comment again? Color palette for character, hair, eye, skin, clothes. I love color palettes. Hang on, I need water. It's not even water. Okay. So, color palettes for a character. Let's start. I need to change my screen. I need you guys to be able to see the color wheel. Da 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 da. Oh, not. Da 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 da. There we go. The color wheel. My favorite part. I love doing color stuff. So, the first step of having a cohesive color palette, just in general, is analogous colors are key. For example, we've got green. We've got yellow-green. Make that a little bit more yellow over there. And we've got blue-green. They're right next to each other on the color wheel. They are analogous. Hang on, let me increase my saturation. Grab those colors again. We got green. We got yellow-green. We got blue-green. Analogous. So, if you're working with a limited color palette, trying to stay next to the colors on the color wheel can be one of your smartest options. Because they naturally look good together, because they are made of the same thing. They all have the core of green. Any correlation of these colors will work in your art. It might feel a little flat, but that's where values can come in. But we're not going to focus on shading. We're just looking at colors. Of course, you know about complementary colors. Oh, my color wheel's kind of weird. I guess that would be more true green. Yeah, but you all know how it works. Green's complement is red. So, if you want to work with two colors, like only two colors, I suggest you work with complements instead of analogous colors. Because they look good together. It's just the rule of it. And you can work with, you know, multiple shades of red. You know, we've got red, we've got dark red, we've got a light red, and then we've also got our green, and we've got a light green. You know, feel free to add white and black to these colors as you see fit, but staying with your red and green. Then, if you're trying to stay limited, then there you go. But this is the secret hint of it all. If you connect these two ideas, you've got your analogous colors and the center colors complement. That is how you will have the most cohesive color palette. Just in general. Just, you know, we're working with basics right now. And this works in all directions. You know, we've got yellow, and we've got yellow-green, and we've got orange-yellow, and then yellow's complement is purple. And then, you know, all these together will look good to some degree. That's a little too orange, I gotta say. There we go. You know, if you follow that rule, you will be alright. I will get to you finding nobody. I will answer your question on how to make blue not look gray. We'll do that right now, and then we'll rubber band back to how do we throw in hair, hair, skin, and eyes. How do I make a character look older without making them look like they're on their deathbed? That's another quick answer, so I can give you that really quick. Let me get rid of my color examples. How do you make a character look older without making them look like they're on their deathbed? So you got a character. Why is, oh, I was like, why is my line art so big? So you got a character without making them look like they're on their deathbed. Okay, we got crazy eyes, I guess. Under eye bags. That does a lot. Mouth smile lines. That'll do a lot for you too. Crow's feet. So wrinkles right next to your eyes. Also happens when you smile. There you go. Have hair tastefully have like fading to gray like on men's sideburns. Have a lady with a couple of streaks of gray. There you go. There you go. How do you make blue not look gray? So I don't know how you're having this problem. Are you working digitally or traditionally? If you're working digitally and you find yourself blue is looking too gray, you might be colorblind, which is okay. But if you find yourself feeling that your blue looks too gray, then I suggest stay at the edge of your triangle. Be more saturated. So don't add black or white, and you get brighter colors without them wandering towards gray. And if you need to mix, like if you're like, man, this, like if you're working physically, like with paint, and you need to mix a color, it's like, oh, well, I don't want it to, you know, making the ocean, I don't want it to be this bright, bright blue, then mix in a different color, not black or white. If you mix in, you know, some purple, that will make a deeper color that's still saturated, but might help avoid feeling gray. The top, middle, and left look gray. Okay, you might be a little bit colorblind. That's alright. They are, if you look at my, I guess they wander towards this gray line. There's nothing wrong with a gray blue, I will say. All I've done is, on a technicality, I've added white to those. Does it also look gray if I add black? Because they are looking more gray, quote unquote, because you are bringing blue closer to gray. By adding a tint or a shade, white or black. I will also say, blue wanders the closest to gray naturally. Any color can be gray. For example, you know, we've got a warm gray by losing the saturation on orange. We've got another warm gray by losing the saturation on purple. But blue is one of the colors that we jump to the most with being close to gray. These are all technically different shades of gray. They're all just desaturated colors across the color wheel. That's all gray is losing color. So if you're finding that you think something looks too gray, that's alright. You just need to add more color to it. I struggle with making my characters look the same from the last time I drew them. Any advice how to keep them on model? I will get to that question, Overhypin'. We're actually still answering James's question. Oh, I got rid of it though. All right, adding skin. Let me write down your question though, Overhypin'. Overhypin'. Stay on model. Great. Cool, we'll get to that. So, James wanted to know about how to keep a color palette looking good and consistent with also including hair, eyes, and skin tone. So, if you follow the first step I gave of using your analogous colors, you're already on the right track. From there, don't forget that if you're working with something like anime, hair can be any color you want it to be. So, let's draw up a character really quick. We'll give them fun hair, because fuck it. With big ol' eyes. And thick eyebrows, hell yeah. What a goofball. What a goofy goober this dude is. Fucking electric type gym leader over here. Alright, then we'll give him like a shirt. Plenty to work with. And, you know, he's got arms. And maybe on one of them he's got like a bracelet. Okay. You know, a pretty standard, just little guy. Just a guy. Okay. So, we need to give him color. How do we do that? Let's say that we know right off the bat, we want him to be electric coated. We want him to have yellow hair. That's the first and most important thing we know about this guy. He's, oh shit, my line art is not clean. He's a little electric dude, so we know we want him to have yellow hair. But how do we design the rest of him? So, sometimes jumping to skin next, I think is easiest. If I know off the bat what I want a skin tone to be, then I will jump to that. For example, with my alchemy in my Pokemon Magical Girl Sword and Shield playthrough, I knew I wanted her to have a really dark skin tone because I got the white alchemy, and I knew that would help make the white of her hair and outfit pop better. It's just like having black clothes and hair on a fair-skinned character. You're working with value, even without shading. So we've got this guy, and he's got yellow hair. Okay, great. And so we want him to be electric-y, but we want to make sure he looks good. So let's put him in blue as well. We'll put him in a cool blue shirt, being adjacent to yellow's complementary color of purple. Because we don't want him to look too opulent or fancy. We want him to just kind of look casual. Yeah, well, yellow and blue look really swell together. Okay, great. And now we have to give him pants. When in doubt, because I don't want him to be wearing blue pants as well as a blue shirt. So what, should I go with brown pants? I say instead, when in doubt, use black or white. You don't want him to have blue pants? That's alright. He can have black pants. Black and white are the absence of color. If you find yourself sitting there thinking, I need more on this, like, I don't want to use this color again, but I'm running out of colors, I don't want them to look too noisy, add black or white, and that can fix your problem. And now, let's give him a skin tone. I feel like we're pretty confident with what we're working with right now. We'll make him a tanned guy. This is technically a color, but think of it kind of more like a canvas. You know, it's what all the other colors on your character are playing off of. That's how I like to think about it. We've got a pretty pink color palette here for his skin. We will, examine that further in just a second. Alright. So that's swell. Let's, fill in the whites of his eyes. He's just a human, so nothing special there. Y'all can't see that because the background's white. And, a mouth color as well. That's a little dark. There we go. Cute open mouth. And we want him to look electric. He doesn't feel electric enough. So let's add the color orange to his bracelet, and if we don't need to add another color, we don't have to. We can have orange eyes as well, to help feel bright and sparky. And there we go. A solid little guy. Now, if you've got characters with, like, trim and stuff on them, then things might get a little bit harder, a little bit more complicated. You know, I want them to have, you know, white trim on their shirt, and also they need a patch on their shirt to represent that they're part of, like, a special league. In which case, I always implore you stay within the colors you've already used. You don't need to go across the color wheel when there are thousands of shades of yellow or orange to work with. Great. Now let's talk about that skin specifically. We're gonna make a couple versions of this guy. I'm gonna hide the questions for a second so we can see him real easy. So, oh, I didn't know what layer we were on. That's alright. So, let's get another version of him, but with a different shade of skin. So, I mentioned that we're pretty pink right now. Because if we wanted a more yellowy skin tone, oh, because he's a yellow guy, that's what we're doing, yeah? We want him to look electric. But if, without even changing the value, just wandering closer to yellow, that's still a fine skin tone. It's pretty close to what we colored her in earlier, remember? But it will wash him out. That yellow coexisting with the yellow on his hair, even though that's a fine skin tone technically, it's flattening him. So even though it's not paler or darker than any other skin, than the other skin tone in the center, it looks less good because we're too close to the yellow on him in his hair. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If he were a redhead, if we had gone with, for this one, you know, if we wanted him to have a fire theme, then we'd be encountering a similar problem with this version of him, where suddenly this red skin doesn't look that good. So you have to keep in mind that it's why I'll give rules like, for redesigning Doug, you're not allowed to change skin tone. It's because I care a lot about color theory, and color palettes, and skin tone changes immensely depending on just the value you use. Now, for example, what if we wanted him to have a darker skin tone, though? Now that's super alright. Absolutely nothing wrong with that idea. The same principle still applies. Keeping a dark, warm, more reddish skin tone, that still looks really swell. That's a spunky little man right there. But, again, we're keeping it at the same value, but wandering into closer to yellow. Again, this is a fine skin tone. A totally normal skin tone to have. But against the yellow of his skin, he starts to look sickly. So, just be aware that keeping everything too close together might end up hurting you more than helping you. Be smart about how you wander around the color wheel, and don't forget that values are your friends. So hooray! Yeah, he is spiky. just a quick little dude that we drew. How do I make good-looking animal people? And I don't mean adding a tail or ears like a generic animal person. I mean shit more like Moro from Dragon Ball or that one wolf dude from Elden Ring. In order to, I'm gonna answer you quickly for that one. Twins, you're gonna like my undertones or else ink. To draw better looking animal people, to put it bluntly, you need to study not just human anatomy, but animal anatomy. That's just how it is. You need to study how to illustrate an animal as well as how to illustrate a human. From there, it's really a matter of thinking about where does the human begin, animal end. You know, do they have, does your character, hang on, I've got a giant, a giant pen again, because I was coloring. Okay. You know, does your character have paws? Or do they have hands? That's up to you to decide. But yeah, it basically just means, learning how to also draw animals properly. That's a terrible hand. Anyway, speaking of hands, I believe Excalibur had actually already asked about those. Hands Doko. Yeah, how to draw hands, basically, especially with foreshortening. Say it with me, class. What's the answer gonna be? Look up a reference! That's right. References are your biggest help. Luckily, you most likely have one hand, at least. So if you're drawing, you probably have a hand. If not, that's swell. You can go online and Google hands. But as always, drawing from a reference is how you learn. You know, if you're just drawing like fan art of cartoons and you're really into Adventure Time and so you end up drawing hands like this all the time, I don't know if they have 5 hands or not in Adventure Time, you're not learning anything. You have to Google a real hand. You have to look at your real hand. And once again, it's a matter of learning how to draw from reference and how to pay attention to what you see, not what you think you see. And it's tough stuff. You know, it's, you know, there's a reason why lazy schmucks online want to be able to cheat and have the computer to draw their pictures for them. It's because it's not easy to do art. It takes a long time to study. A long time to hone your craft, and even experts in the field will tell you, oh, my art's nothing too special though. That's my hand. But, as a tip, I will say, start with a box. Your hand is a box. Again, it's a squishy box. And then you've got your thumb and your fingers. You will do your best once you learn how to make sure hands, how to keep fingers the right length. Fingers that are too short or too long will throw you off, for sure. That's my hand, gasp, hand reveal. You got the answer wrong! Boo! So, yeah, and that's the thing as well. Foreshortening, nothing looks right foreshortened. Foreshortening is really hard for me because I am farsighted. If I'm looking at my hand right now, foreshortened towards me, my eyes go blurry. So, it's hard. Nothing will really look right foreshortened. Once again, I implore you to break things down to their basic shapes, and you can roll from there. And just be aware that sometimes fudging what you see might help convey something more successfully. Like, cause so often what's right won't look normal. And people, you know, will be like, I don't understand what this is. It's why so often you will see artists kinda draw something the same way as others. Now let me explain. This is a straight-on, weird, goofy angle of my hand. You know? And that's weird. That's a hard angle to draw. It's a hard angle to draw and a hard way to keep your hand positioned for a long time. Oh! Everyone ignore the bot. So instead what you'll see, you will see artists, instead of draw straight on like that, they will angle it a little bit so that the fingers kind of, we got a knuckle, another knuckle, and another knuckle, so that the fingers kind of come down a little. Even if that may not be totally accurate to what we're doing, it's easier to grasp that these are fingers, you know, if rendered fully, than my funny little lumps up here. You know what I'm saying? So, sometimes breaking the rules can help, but you need to understand the rules first before you can break them successfully, is what I'll say. Fuck, it's hot today. It's hot every day. And I don't want to complain, but I'm gonna say fuck, it's hot. I used to be ass when it came to eyes, to the point I just traced better eyes from gacha life. I eventually got better than that. Sometimes, you know, when you're first starting off, tracing can be a great way to learn. And I gotta say, even as a not starting off, tracing can be a great way to learn. I've done that before in order to learn how other people, basically how they draw. But that's the big thing about it. You have to go in knowing that you're trying to learn and not just copy what someone, and don't ever post your tracings. But here. How to trace in a way that is useful. I'm gonna copy that. And then I know there was another question. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you, overhyping. So we got my beloved Shiro. Got some art from him. And what if I'm sitting here and I'm like, I really like how he's drawn this face. I want to learn how to draw this face. So you come in and you lower this opacity and you're like, I'm gonna trace this. Okay, but you need to be tracing with purpose. I say if you just come in and you just start drawing what he's drawn, you're not learning anything. You've learned how to follow the lines. Instead, what I've done, if I think I like how this is drawn, I want to study this, I basically try to work backwards. I try to find where the top of the head would be. I locate where the bangs start. I identify the center of the face. You know, things, this is my art process, is, you know, finding the center. Wow, these are some big ass ears. And then basically I'm working backwards from Shiro's art. And I'm studying that way. It's not just, and then I can see, oh, you know, that's how he draws. And then, like, eyes, how far away are the eyes to the center? How far are they from, you know, this line, the cheek line? That's how you, like, how does he draw eyes? Oh, I see. And then, like, oh, so a full pupil would be up there, but the character's half-lidded eyes, you know, you're breaking down the art. You're not just tracing it, is how I suggest you do that. I've also done it in a broader way, being like, I really like how he draws poses. Let me see where the characters are. Where's his chest? How's his arms? You know, things like that. She's a great example. You know, she's blurry and in the background, and then, okay, and then her chest is kind of facing upwards, and breaking them down, basically. That can be a great way to learn, is what I'm saying. So yeah. Oh boy, that gamer head. That's where his headphones always go when he's like playing his games. So then he's got another one over here. Ooh, it's hot. I should be drinking water and not just my energy drink. Used to use art bases of bodies and draw hair and clothes over them. I think I'm pretty good at drawing clothes and hair, but I'm still working on anatomy. That's true, that is true. Often, you know, doing something like that, you can still gain information, like how to illustrate the clothes, for example, but it does still mean you're working at a deficit, for things like anatomy. I will say, we're gonna get to your, question, overhyping, don't worry. But, art is like trees. Some people's trees are, aspens. Where they've learned how to do one thing really, really well. And other people's trees are acacia trees. Where they're not as tall as an aspen, but they've learned how to do more things. More things with more confidence. And they all grow at different times. At different rates. And, maybe you're an aspen, and then you suddenly decide, I want to branch. I want to branch, and I want to start learning how to do something else. And that's okay. We're all magical, different dream trees. So don't ever feel like you have to learn everything. Don't ever feel like you have to be good at one thing. And always remember the most important step in art, have fun. Twins, I was wondering if you had any tips for drawing clothes in unique fashion, if that makes sense. I'm gonna ask, I'm gonna give you some tips on, like, how to draw clothes. Oh my gosh, another one. Tortilla! Oh, I thought it was tortilla padilla. Damn. Anyway, ignore that. Ignore the bot. I can give you a tip on how to draw clothes in a way that makes them look less stiff, less starchy, but I would like for you to extrapolate on what you mean for unique fashion. Because otherwise my tip for unique fashion would be to look up, look up fashion magazines. And I do think that's a big... What's your name? 7 Fars. I do think that's a big thing people need to learn, is that looking up real clothes can be way more useful than looking up, like, your favorite JRPG. Like, oh man, how do all the characters in Final Fantasy dress? How do all the characters in Tales of whatever dress? My favorite cartoon, Adventure Time, whatever it is. Looking up real clothes will help you more than looking up what other fantasy bullshit other people came up with. But I'll just type clothes. Clothes how. Okay, great. And then let's get my BGM going again. But first, let's actually get to overhyping over here. So, how do you stay on model? Again, the answer is, practice. But you may have seen this thing a lot. I've got a lot of layers, somehow. Okay, you may have seen this sort of deal a lot. Draw your character, at multiple angles. So, we're gonna draw Ram. One of my guys from As the Sky Falls. And I did this at work the other day. I wanted to work on drawing different angles. So you're also learning multiple things at a time. But this is helpful for staying on model. And we're gonna draw him without his glasses, just to keep things a little easier to see. So, draw him from one angle, and then rotate his head slightly. Draw him at 1/3. And basically you're teaching yourself how to draw whoever it is. And even if it's just like a generic person, you're learning how to draw from different perspectives, and that is what will make you come off model, is that you are drawing at a different angle from a different perspective. Draw them facing forward, and then have them continue to rotate, and then, also have them angle up, have them angle down. And again, I suggest you look up a reference for that. Cause again, learning to draw what you see versus what you think, because this is a hard angle. How much of the eyes can you see? How much of the brow is hidden? Things like that. This is another really hard angle. How do you draw a chin? When they're facing up like that. How do you draw? Where does the nose go? How much of the eye can you see? These are tough questions. A second tip is... Cool, you've learned how to draw them from different angles. Now draw them doing very different expressions. So, we got Ram looking all grumpy, but what if Ram won the lottery? Well, that's a pretty different expression, now wouldn't it be? Even if you've got a solemn character, a character who tends to not emote very much, that's alright, but you would do well to learn how to stretch the boundaries of their model to see the extremes of their expressions. You see? His eyes are much more wide open here, but it's because you can open your eyes wide. You can squint. And, you know, and that can change for a different character. Maybe a different character can't open their eyes as wide as Ram. And that would be noticeable in how you draw them. So, yeah, practice different expressions, practice different angles. And it doesn't have to be pretty. I think a lot of people fall into this trap where you have to draw finished versions. That's not a finished picture up here. This isn't finished. Hell, even these more nice looking, you know, like, I didn't jump to a new layer. You can still see my lines as I was sketching. These are all just sketches. I say do these when, like, I'm gonna be honest, when you're bored in class. You've probably got a notebook in front of you. Sketch in your notebook. It'll be on lined paper. Who fuck it. It's just for you to learn, not for someone else to see. If you're proud of what you draw, you can show other people, of course. But don't sit there and think it needs to be a finished picture. You're learning. And so that's what I say about that. Twiins, how do you draw appealing looking shady or shiny objects? Especially... Is this lewds? I don't understand your question. I don't know what a lewd is. But how do you draw a shiny... what is a shady object? For a shady object, you just have a lot of shading on it. Like, you know, like make the shadows darker. But, for shine... Hey, look, I guess we'll keep all the Rams. Fuck it. But for shine, so... We want that to be shiny. And we're gonna make it... I don't know, green. Great. We want it to be shiny. So, like, metallic. So what you do is you really push the shadows on metals. You make that shadow really dark, and then you make the shine real bright. My lines are never clean. Make it real bright, brighter than that. You can blur that, so it conveys more depth. But, let's say you're sitting here and you're like, man, that still doesn't look shiny enough. It's because I didn't add enough, hang on. You're like, wow, that still doesn't look shiny enough. How do I make it look even shinier? Then don't let the line art confine you. You sit here and you go, that's not shiny enough, that's not shiny enough. I want it to really shine. First, add a rim lighting into your shadows. But second, this is your stronger option. Get a soft airbrush. Get a soft airbrush, go over your line art. Now it shines, you know? Your line art conveys a shadow. And so if you want something to be really shiny, you gotta go over that line art. Now that's fucking shiny right there. You know what I'm saying? Shading for shiny objects like liquids. Liquids, I'm gonna say, they apply the same. Same application. Liquids are just kind of hard because they're, I'm gonna describe it as blurry without being soft. So I would suggest not blurring the shine, like, within the image. You know what I'm saying? Like that soft edge there, don't have that for liquid. Just have hard edges, but really push your values. Currently drawing my entry for the Roseberry Challenge. Nice. And your one advice a while ago about making very different silhouettes or styles when designing characters is the base stage is so true slash useful. It is, it really is though. A silhouette conveys so much character. It's so important, I think. And I will say, I don't often care about, like, just a flat silhouette of, you know, so like this guy to our right here. Like, that's not conveying any kind of character. And no matter what you put on him, you know, whatever kind of hair you give him, whatever kind of jacket you put on him, you're still not conveying anything special. So pose matters far more in terms of silhouette than any other thing you put on them outside of like a straight up cape that could hide a silhouette, in which case, I mean, yeah, you still gotta think about how you pose it so you do not hide their silhouette, you know. Great. Hang on, I need more water. Need a drink. Tend to get in the habit of having one design I like immediately and doing only slight iterations, not really exploring the possibilities. Sometimes that can work. Sometimes, like, for example, in Grim Magic, mouse. I knew exactly what I wanted a mouse to look like right away. I knew immediately. I was like, this is what she will look like. Cat, her companion, and the protagonist of that chapter, I had to do a couple of versions of. So sometimes it just do be like that. I will say, don't be afraid to at least do one that's way different from your first idea. Just because, even though you might be like, well, I don't like that one though. Well, good. You found out you don't like that one, so you don't need to sit there and worry about it. How do you draw shoes? Fuck. That's a tough question. Don't worry, by the way. 7 Fars, I'm getting back to you. Did you ever extrapolate on your question about fashion? But anyway, I will come find you again. We'll just talk about shoes really quick. Give you an option to extrapolate on unique fashion or not. So shoes are hard. As always, my recommendation is look up a reference. But what I find is with shoes, often the devil is in the details. Even a simple shoe. You know, we just got like a sneaker. That's where the toes are. Alright. Great. We got a sneaker with a big old tongue. Very dingy looking ass shoe. Okay, step 1, make sure they got sole. Shoes have soles. Even if they're not a platform shoe, adding a sole like that can do a lot. Step 2, shoes usually have laces. Add a line from your toe to the tongue. And even if you don't have like an outright bow, if you convey shoelaces, we got a shoe. We're cooking with shoes. Cooking with gas. From there, basically, I'm gonna describe it as adding nice looking bullshit will go a long way, you know? We got maybe a line at the tongue? That's swell. A pattern over here? That could be great. Something else happening on the ankle? Coolio? Do we got something going on the tongue? It's a killer whale. I guess. Killer whale shoe. Draw that for every panel. You know, from there, yeah, like I said, it's kind of just adding bullshit. Yeah. And that's how you draw a sneaker. Dress shoes operate similarly, but only, you know, just with a little bit less bullshit. Got a shoe. They usually have a bit of a heel, so, you know, accommodate for the heel. And your laces. Wow, dress shoes usually don't have as much brouhaha going on. So have your detailing be like implied seams, but don't change the color on it, you know? So yeah, that's how you draw shoes. Look up a reference, add more detail, or you could do what I do and just have a million boots that all just kind of look like this. That's a pretty nice shoe right there. Shout out to the killer whale shoes. We'll just move that over. Boink. Cool. List of things we've drawn well today. By unique fashion, I mean like making clothes match the personality, if that makes sense. I guess, yeah. So for that, I'm gonna go back to my previous suggestion of look up clothes. And you can look up vibes, basically. You know, fall clothes for women. You know, if you're drawing a girl. You know, or winter clothes. You can look up, you know, cute or clothes for mature person. Maybe what their job is probably matters. Business attire versus casual clothes. So don't be afraid to add adjectives, even more esoteric ones. You know, like put lazy clothes, you know, and then add whatever other details you need for the character you're drawing. What about male fashion? So yeah, same thing. Look up fall male fashion. So fellas, unfortunately, are shafted a bit in terms of the casual fashion world, but overarchingly, a man can wear anything a woman can. If you find a cute shirt and you're like, God damn, that's cute, but my character's a boy, so put him in that cute shirt. I will also say, you will not find a more creative sect of people than drag queens. I love watching RuPaul's Drag Race content. I don't think I've seen a full episode fully, but they offer a lot of stuff online on the YouTube channel, and drag queens are constantly bringing some of the coolest looking shit, and it's kind of unisex in a way. Drag queens obviously present as female when they are, you know, in drag, but they are all still, well, but many of them are still born male, and they look great. And that's with a lot of different body types and a lot of different skin tones as well. So look up RuPaul's Drag Race is what I mean, I guess it doesn't have to be his. You know, just look up drag queens as well. If you really don't know where to start with kind of, well, how can a man dress? But yeah, like I said, you find a cute shirt and you go, oh, but but I got a guy character. He can wear whatever the fuck he wants, and you can put him in whatever the fuck he wants. I'm gonna say keep the character in mind, but don't be afraid to maybe wander outside of stereotypes. You know, the shy character doesn't have to bundle up. A person can be plenty shy and still, you know, wanna have a low-cut shirt, basically, is what I'm saying. I know that there tends to be a bit of a stereotype of, oh, the shy girl has to wear like a hoodie. Oh, she's shy, so she doesn't want to show off her body. And that might be true, but she may just be socially anxious, but perfectly happy with how she looks, or just doesn't care and just likes to wear low-cut shirts. You know? Anyone can wear anything. Don't let yourself be limited based off of preconceived conceptions of what people should wear. Yeah, you got your boy. That arm looks terrible. I guess that's fine. So, you got your boy, and he's like, boy, I do love being super masculine. Super masculine and handsome. And I also love wearing cool shirts. Hang on, I'm drawing a boy. Hang on. Yeah. Cool hair. Cool boy. Wow. A man. Okay. And then, so let's say you look up, you know, cute women clothes. Or cute fall clothes. You're probably gonna get mostly stuff for girls. But you see something and you go, oh man, that's so cute though. I want my guy to wear that. Okay. Then just fucking do it. Ain't no one can stop you. I can't copy this image because the link goes to a shop thing. Sometimes that's how it do be, but that's alright, that's alright. You don't always have to, you know, copy something in order to be able to draw it. So you're like, that's so fucking cute, I want my guy, but I've got a guy. Let him wear the cute thing. You got big cute sleeves. Big cute sleeves. And then, you know, he's got his pants. Ain't no rules about fellas not being able to wear cute clothes. So there you go, that's my tip for unique fashion. And so don't forget, clothes crinkle where your body moves. So let's pretend we got an arm. I see a lot of people struggle with this. It's something we all have to learn. You got an arm, and you want to put, you know, sleeves on that thing. And I see a lot of people draw just a starchy looking sleeve. Maybe they'll convey an elbow there, but it's like, woof. Honey. Honey, you gotta accommodate for how clothing, so how it rests. Things like your shoulders. Even if it's just a straight down sleeve, you know, hanging off loosely. If you convey how it can move on the body, you're gonna be happier. Especially because if someone lifts their arm, you know, if they lift their arm, the arm crinkles where their arm lifts. These are some pretty extreme wrinkles, so you can really see. And then they bend their elbow as well. There are crinkles at the elbow. And then they do a weird hand motion. It's a lot of learning about, like, weight and physics. So it can be tough. It can be really tough having your clothes not end up looking really stiff. I suggest don't be afraid to just kind of be really loose with it. Even just straight, like, pants. Just don't go in with a straight line. Even a small straight line, it'll just end up looking really stiff and crisp. Like, like over ironed clothes, you know? So yeah, it's tough. It's not easy. And I don't know if I'm the best at explaining it. But, keep in mind that clothes crinkle where the human body bends. And you'll be alright. Need another drink. Ah. Wowee. Wow willikers. Let's go to the bathroom real quick. Everyone can go to the bathroom. Get a snack. Get a drink if you need one. No, that works. Thanks a lot. Hey, you're welcome. That's all I can hope. Hope I offer something of value. What's this? Just a circle up here. Art advice. This is what it looks like. Some half-sketched dudes, and then one really solid lady's torso. Yes, I give you all permission to use the bathroom. I'm gonna return, but like, if I get back and there are no more questions, then I guess that's gonna be it for stream. It's been a lot of fun. I'll also double check the tweet. So, I'll be right back. I'll turn up the music volume so you guys can listen to that. Yeah. I'll be right back, and if you got any questions, now's the time to ask. Hiya. Okay. Yeah. Listen to the sick jams. I return! Da-da-da-da. Alright. Do we have any more questions? Almost ripped my headphones out of my ding-a-dang old ears. It's fine. Okay. Okay. How do I make my characters look like they're earthbending? I'm gonna say, I forget what type of style of martial arts earthbenders used. Like, the earthbending is, all bending is based off of, in Avatar, in case you didn't know, all bending is based off of, real martial arts. So, look up those real martial arts, and study those poses. Outside of that, I'm gonna say go ham with the earth. So you got a guy, he's like in a pose. They're pretty squat. That's a big thing. There's a lot of like leg work with earthbenders. If you have a character standing with like straight legs, you're probably not doing it right. This guy's a leg-heavy character. That's fine. This is a quick little example. So you got a guy and he's like doing his pose and he's like, earthbend, go. So have the earth really like wha-ta around him, and then you got like whatever he's doing. Rock. A rock, you know, more rock, you know, whatever's going on. You know, so don't be afraid to really fuck up the ground around them. Since I missed your tips on color palettes due to being pulled away myself, would you be willing to dissect, rip apart, and bully an OC of mine? You mean like review a character, or just insult them? Like, I don't mind doing a little friendly, like calling them bald when they're clearly not. That kind of a thing. Yeah, sorry about neighbor outside. Someone honking all the time for every day. Review. I'm not in love with the idea of reviewing people's characters because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And I do feel like, so often, there are two ways you can do reviews for art. You can be nice, or you can tell them where they can improve. And I like to be nice. I want to be nice. I'd love to see your designs and give you lots and lots of compliments. That's why I like to do things like the seeing your designs for Roseberry and stuff. But if you want a review, like a design review, and you want me to be honest, I don't know if I want to do that, because I don't want to end up hurting anyone's feelings. I don't want to end up being the reason why someone decides they don't want to keep doing art, because even soft-balled critique, even critique handled with, you know, with baby gloves, can still really hurt. And so I know it can be useful, but I don't know, I don't want to be the one to hurt somebody. So I'm gonna pass on review. Also, if I review your character, everyone's gonna be like, review mine, review mine, review mine. So I'm gonna say no. I don't wanna beat up your character verbally. I don't think. Just because, yeah, I don't wanna sit there and be a meanie weenie on the internet. I'll give you lots of tips. I'll give you endless advice like how we did today. And I trust you to use that advice and educate yourself to be able to have the introspection needed to learn and implore educating yourself. But just because I'm not in love with the idea of doing reviews, just because, yeah, I don't want to go in too hard on somebody. To the right, is that Emiya? No idea who Emiya is. I don't even know who you're talking about. This man? I just drew a guy. I just drew a dude to show off a fella wearing a girl's shirt. So yeah, I don't know who that is. But yeah, sorry, James, I'm gonna pass. Cause I don't wanna hurt anyone's feelings. Because I think a lot of people do go in thinking, I want to learn. But let's be honest, what we all really want is, I want compliments, and at least, you know, personally, I know I've been in that situation where I want a review, I want to be able to learn, but it's also because I want a bunch of compliments. Yeah, I don't know, I just don't want to be the one to put someone down. I believe in you. I believe in you to at least find someone who gets paid to put you down as a whore. Had to go away for a second. Do you have any tips for drawing feet at angles, side views, front facing, back views, etc.? I suck at drawing feet. So not really. There's a handful of different good reviewers that accept submissions elsewhere anyhow. That's great. Yeah. If people are more confident in being able to provide that, I'd love for them to have that opportunity. Just because, while I'm sure I could offer critique, I do worry that I would either pull back too much, and you wouldn't learn anything, or I'd open up too much, and I'd end up hurting your feelings, and I definitely don't want to do that. But yeah, Zero, I suck at drawing feet. I truly do. You'll notice how rarely I have feet on screen. Yep, that's a foot. That sure is a foot right there. So, no. I cannot assist you with the foots. As always, I suggest you look up a reference. References are gonna be your best friend there, because unfortunately, I am lacking in the foot department. Can't draw feet either. They're hard. They're weird. Have you ever looked at a foot? They're little freaks. Freaks on a normal body. It's always nice when your art gets complimented, especially from strangers. Exactly. And I would much rather enjoy getting to compliment you guys' art. So, yeah. Also, some tips on heads, shoulders, and necks. I always have trouble connecting those, and even getting the right shape for heads, too. So, a head is a circle with a triangle attached to it. You've probably seen people do this. It's just to help find the center of the head. You got a nose, and you got a chin. That's what a head is. You will need to practice this in order for it to look consistent and good. And then don't even get me started on how to draw a mouth. Man, I still struggle with that. I guess we're drawing an excitable character here. And then eyes and such. So, yeah. Practice. How to connect the head, shoulders, and neck. I'm going to show you something. So you've got a head. There he is. And you know you got a neck. And then you know you got like a chest and shoulders in this general area. But what do? So, you start off by drawing your neck. You've probably seen me do this. And the neck is a similar width as the head. I do suggest you look up references and take a good gander at necks. Because if you draw a neck too thin, it'll, you know, that looks weird. If you draw it too thick, then we expect like a real meaty character. If you draw a thicker neck, we expect, you know, someone to look like Frankie or Arnold Schwarzenegger. But if you're not drawing, you know, a big muscle man McGee, then a neck at around the same width as the rest of the head is what we're looking at. And then from there, don't forget your traps, starting at around halfway up the neck, just a triangle angling down. You don't want to go straight out like that. Even skinny guys have traps. And now here's where the real tip is. Your neck, so you can feel it on yourself. Go to your jaw. The edge of your jaw. Right under your ear. Your jaw is connected to your ear. Fun fact. I'll get to you, Messiah. Don't forget to remind me. I'm gonna write down lips down here. So you feel on your jaw, and you feel down your neck. You like tense your neck for a second, and you can feel these muscles. Those go from your jaw down to your collarbone. And they all connect. And then from your collarbone down there, they go out, and you can follow that on your body. They go out to your shoulders. If you can figure out this part, then you're doing wonders. You've probably seen me a couple of times during the stream even. I have it in, you know, my order of operations to draw that neck muscle, and then the collarbone, and then the shoulder and then the collarbone and the shoulder blades all together. And that's how I center where a body is. If you're drawing a character from the side, like how we mentioned, the jaw is connected to the ear. The ear is perpendicular with the nose. Your ears and nose line up, and they are the same height. So, you know, angle that up. The edge of your ear and your nose, and you've got your jaw. And then from your jaw is your neck, and then you can follow that same pattern. Follow that muscle down to your collarbone and to your shoulders. And then from there, the head goes behind a little bit. You know, it doesn't go straight up like that. You need space for your big dumb brain, you know? So there you go. If you study, and again, you have to study muscles. You can look up muscles. That might help. But that's what I do. You follow that neckline to the collarbone. What if we don't have a brain? You got a big empty skull. And then, you know, then here you are, Gemini, and you got your skull. And it's so much space for your little pea brain. Lips. How do you draw lips without looking like a clown? I struggle with lips a lot. You'll notice I don't have them very often on my characters. I don't need that much space. It's just in case it grows in, Gemini. Thank you, Weavile Plague Doctor. We're wrapping up soon. But, you know, as long as questions keep drizzling in, I don't mind staying. So don't be afraid to ask a question if you have any art tips you want. Currently, we're looking at how to draw lips. And I kind of suck at that. I'm gonna say, basically follow Steven Universe's line of thought when it comes to lips. So we got a character here, you know, just a face with some crazy eyelashes. Cool. Wow, a character. Neato. Okay, and then if I want a lip, I'll add a bottom lip. I kind of suck at top lips. But I say don't connect them, personally. That's where you end up with, like, clown makeup effects. But I'm not very good with lips. If you remember this thing, right under your nose, you got that... My parents used to call it a snot trough. It's a disgusting word for it. But, you know, if you add that, that helps a lot. But lips are hard. Something I like to do is instead, you know, have the lips just kind of come out, a lot with the color. You know, we got these pretty pink lips. You know, it might still end up looking clownish if you go with red lips. But, yeah, if you struggle with lips like how I do, those are how I approach them, but I'm not very good with lips, personally. Like I said, I kind of follow the Steven Universe trend of it, but as always, looking up a reference of real people might help the most. Personally, when I do... Hang on, wait. I know General asked, I'm playing Mortal Kombat, and it got me thinking of a question. How much gore is too much? Oh, I'm sorry, Genital. Sorry, Genital Worth it. I saw you talking about Mortal Kombat, and I thought you just weren't staying on topic. I will say, how to keep it looking from a Tarantino movie? What's wrong with that? If you're drawing and you think this is too much gore, then just start erasing. But personally, I like Chainsaw Man. So, I think that's up to you. If you're sitting there thinking this is too much gore, then I say remove guts first, and then get rid of blood. I feel like blood can be nearly endless, and you won't have too much of it to a degree, obviously. But if you feel like this is too much gore, it's probably guts. Guts and, like, body horror, like, real damage. So I say, if you feel like it's starting to feel too much like a Tarantino movie, reel back on things like real wounds. Oh, someone got hit in the face and, like, their eye is gooping out. That's too much. Just have them get a real big boo-boo on their eye and bleed a lot. That's what I say. Personally, when I do lips, I only outline the top and bottom of the lip with the mouth line in the middle. Negative space is your friend. It's true. Negative space is always your friend. Don't ever forget, that's a big thing with composition as well. Like with this man. Negative space, all this here, all that hair, all this hair, everything around him, that's negative space. And negative space will play a huge factor in how dynamic your characters will look. So, don't be afraid to keep negative space in mind. Because if, like, his arm was, like, down, like, this way instead of, you know, out like that, that completely changes the shape of him, you know? That's a different negative space. It's a little less dynamic. He takes up less room. So, that depends. It depends on what you want out of a character. A character like Penny from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, even though she's got a big backpack, you know, she keeps her limbs close to her. She's taken up not a whole lot of space. Versus Nimona, who her default pose is her one arm out, one arm up, legs apart. You know, she's taking up a lot of room. She's like a star. She's taking up room because she's confident, and at least more confident than Penny. So, yeah. Twiins going full Makima on us with her new reign of terror. Oh, let's be honest. I'm power. How do you keep designs feeling realistic? How... I guess... I don't know. What's an unrealistic feeling design? I think hair matters. And I think we all tend to think of things like Yugi-Moto when it comes to anime hair. Realistic feeling designs lean more towards real things. Real hair physics. You know, I'm personally not one to pull out a character like, oh man, I think we deleted him. Like our spiky-haired man from earlier. You know, I'm not gonna usually pull out a character with hair, you know, that like is always up or something. However, I've been thinking about how I want to fuck up hair more often because of Pokemon. Makima? I heard Makima. Makima where? Me. I'm Makima. But also, she's in Chainsaw Man. But they were referring to me. Realistic as in non-immersion breaking. That's really tough. I think making sure characters are consistent is how you don't break immersion. You know, realistic body types help a lot. If you see a character, you know, in a world of normal characters and you see one who looks like this, unironically, then your immersion might be broken. But if you want, like, if everyone looks like that, then that is the world we are immersing ourselves in. But I'm gonna say, you know, for the most part, if you're worried about characters wanting to feel realistic, then work with realistic proportions, realistic clothes, realistic hair. I was actually thinking about that, how Chainsaw Man's characters, we don't have any crazy hair colors, really. Even the more quote-unquote anime hair colors, we've got, like, you know, red. We gotta have, like, red heads. Most characters just have a realistic hair color. Characters' hair will just be down, you know? Maybe styled in a way. You know, but, so if you want to work with realism, and you don't want things to break outside of that realistic immersion, then just, you know, stick to the real, basically. You can look up real clothes, and, real clothes, real people, real different ways people style their hair, and that's how you do it, I guess. Don't know Pokemon enough to know the names? Oh. You can Google Nimona and Penny, and you can get what I'm saying. But basically, penny stands like that. And then Nimona stands like that. Nimona is more dynamic. Penny does not want to be seen. That's the long and short of that tip. I'm trying to do something and keep the setting realistic, but some still feeling out there. But why? Can I get an example of, like, what's feeling out there? There's also, you know, if you're working with, if there's gonna be some level of magic, things are gonna end up feeling out there. Even in a realistic setting, you know, like Chainsaw Man. You know, you still got characters with eyes that are, like, fucking crazy. You know? And that's just gonna happen sometimes. So, you might be overthinking it. It might help to ask a friend, what do you think about this? Does it feel realistic? And they might be able to point to something more specifically for you to work on. I've played Violet, but it's been a while. I really like Violet. Like Violet a whole lot. But yeah, basically working with real things might help you the most. You and your purple. I do like me purple. Just a cool eye we got going on here. No, I'm just having fun. Having fun doodling. Hell yeah. Got a whole Switch to play Violet and I haven't finished it. I can't believe you didn't finish it. I thought the game was super fun. I like it a whole lot. But hey, good job you got a Switch. There's a lot of great games that you can play on that. It's like when people want to draw anime, but they don't reference real people, so they don't know how to break the rules properly. Exactly. That's the biggest thing. I keep saying, look up references, look up references, look up references. Because exactly like Weavile, Plague Doctor has said, you need to know the rules so you can break them. Because if you're just breaking rules without understanding the rules, that's where you're gonna end up with weird physics. You know, like, there are plenty of anime with elongated limbs. You know, you got characters who really push the boundaries of proportions. And they still look fine, even though it's like, well, that's not realistic. Everyone walking around looking like Slender Man. And it's because you know, if you know how to accurately proportion somebody. Clamp, yeah, and I love Clamp. I adore Clamp. If you know how to accurately proportion somebody, then you know how to have these elongated proportions without it looking wrong. You know how to keep everything proportioned consistently, even if in a stretched format like this. Otherwise, if you don't know what you're doing, then you may end up with characters who it's like, well, their arms are just goofy, you know. So, one of my thoughts on AI art, it's not art, it's stealing. AI art most consistently just consists of people taking art from other people and mashing it together. I think it can be great in terms of making horror. I think AI art works well for that, but even, but I just see no good use for it outside of that. It's worthless, genuinely. Even if it wasn't stealing. If I took an AI and just put in my own art, so it's technically not stealing, it's worthless. It's like, what? It creates a prompt I can make anyway? What's the point? There is none. If I recently got, oh no, that's not a question. I recently got Pokemon Sword for my Switch, and it was so much fun. I'm on my second playthrough. I plan on getting more. Depends on whatever's at the store. That's so fun. I love Pokemon. I suggest overhyping. So if you like Sword, you'll really like Scarlet or Violet, because that open area where you can walk around and catch Pokemon, you know, not a route. That's the whole game in Scarlet and Violet, so you'll really enjoy that. But I also do recommend getting Arceus Legends for the Switch. It's different. It's certainly different. And the opening tutorial is a little lengthy, but the story is really fun, and even though it's different, it's still very recognizable as Pokemon, so you'll have a great time with that as well, I say. The Rent-A-Girlfriend mangaka did that. Everything just gets worse with that series. God damn. And I heard that that was already not, like, I mean, I hadn't heard anything terrible about the art, but I do know that Rent-A-Girlfriend seems to be the worst thing on the market right now. I remember a guy in a Discord just kept telling me that my legs were too long. I just like drawing long legs. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And that is something you're gonna have to, Nintendo checks in the mail, Twins. Boy, if Nintendo could pay me for giving them all this free publicity, I'd be living large. Dora and Land of Lustrous have been my fave animes in terms of art. They're stunning. I really like Land of Lustrous's manga art as well, and that mangaka, she's done some designs for Pokemon, which is pretty neato. What am I saying? Oh yeah, Gemini. Yeah, was it Gemini who said this? Yes. Non-artists especially just don't get art. I'm gonna put it as bluntly as I can. Non-artists are dumb. They don't get it. They just don't get it. And you will encounter that issue, unfortunately, quite frequently. Non-artists are the ones that tell you you're supposed to do it like that. They don't fucking know. Cause they don't know how it works. They don't know everything that goes into art. Oh, you drew the eyebrows on the outside of hair. Eyebrows don't work like that. You know, like Ram up here. Yeah. But then you couldn't fucking see them. I wanted you to be able to see the eyebrows. Because it is a pretty intense expression. Artists, non-artists, just quite frankly, don't get it. They don't understand that rules can be broken. Not unless something popular is doing it. Oh, you're not supposed to have character designs like that. One Piece does. One Piece has, you know, the incredibly, you know, hourglass-shaped ladies. Oh, so that's fine. That's okay because, you know, a popular thing is doing it. A professional, quote-unquote, is doing it. Non-artists just don't get it. They will give opinions, and that's why I will continually tell you that it's up to you to decide what is a worthwhile opinion to listen to. And often, non-artists don't have one. You know, love them to death because they are they don't know any better. But non-artists will be the ones that accidentally fuck up your day the most because they don't get that what you did took a long time. Took a lot of effort. And that you know what you're doing. Oh, I know it's not supposed to be like that. But this is how I wanted to do it. That's why we all so often jump to, oh, it's just a little doodle. Because if you imply that you didn't try that hard, then people go easy on you. It's why people jump to, it's my art style. For, you know, as, you know, in response to things. Because it is. Even if it's not how you usually draw something. It's like, well, I wanted to draw it this way this time. Because I thought it looked nice. I don't care that it's not right, quote unquote. It's just what I wanted. And yeah, non-artists just don't get it, unfortunately. So, stay strong and try to find other artists because they will, at least to some degree, understand these sorts of things better. I'm currently doing a Magical Girl Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky playthrough. Wow, might release some artwork someday. That'd be super fun. I think it's even, you know, I know I do my, like, videos for Magical Girl Pokemon playthroughs. But I think it's a super fun idea for someone to just do it recreationally and draw their Pokemon. Because it's just fun shit, isn't it? Non-artist. Oh, hair should not be overly spiky and shooting out like that. Twins, okay. But have you seen Yu-Gi-Oh! And Dragon Ball? Exactly. Man, I wanted to get this guy's outfit going. You can always tell who does and does not do any kind of art because people who don't do it stress the importance of rules and sticking to them and being exactly like the things that are widely accepted to be good because that's where the rules come from. Yeah, and you know, they don't know that they're being nobody's favorite person in the room. They don't know any better. So it's tough to be like, to get too mad at them because they just don't know any better, and it's hard to explain all this shit to them. Cause they go, but that's how it's supposed to be. They really do. They just don't get it. Little idiots. The lot of them. That's why I always appreciated my high school art teacher. She preferred realism. I don't draw realistic at all, but she always loved my art and always asked to see more of it. You need someone like that. You need a cheerleader. And a real artist can recognize that even if it's not realism or not what they do, can still recognize how much effort goes into illustrating even a cartoon. And that's the thing. Non-artists often don't. Non-artists will see those photorealistic, like chalk drawings or charcoal drawings of Robert Downey Jr. and it's like a screenshot from one of the Iron Man movies, and they'll be like, "Wow, look at how impressive that is." And it's like, yeah, you know, that took a lot of effort. It's really impressive. As an artist, I sit there and go, yeah, that's really impressive. That took them a long time. I think it's boring. That screenshot already existed. You haven't added anything to it. Photos exist. That's why, if you look up Picasso, he was an asshole. But if you look up his art, obviously we all are more familiar with things like Guernica and his cubism stuff. But he could paint very realistically. He was an artist when cameras were introduced to the world. And he sat there and went, I don't need to paint this if I can just take a photo of it. So why would I? And that's why he changed his style so drastically to lean into more abstract. Yeah, he was an asshole. He was a womanizer. He cheated on people. He assumed he felt himself to be like above morals. Yeah, Picasso was a dickhead. What are you gonna do? He's long dead now, so whatever, I guess. Every great artist was kind of a dick. The ladies weren't. But we never get to learn about them. Hang on, I want that hand to be more hidden. There we go. There we go, there's my elongated art boy. What a man. Twins, a random question. Do you have a favorite painting? A favorite painting? That is a great question. I need to think about it for a second, because there's a lot of great ones. I like Pollock. Even though it's splatter art, I see how people can think not too much of it. But I really like Pollock's stuff. On the flip side, Norman Rockwell is also stunning. He's got some pieces that are just perfect encapsulations of real people. Edvard Munch's The Scream used to scare me a lot as a kid. Now as an adult, knowing that he illustrated it when he was having a panic attack, well, or referencing a moment when he had a panic attack, and the fact that he used things like crayon and charcoal and a lot of different mediums to create the piece, to add to that frantic texture, I think it's pretty neato. I know that Francis Bacon painted on the backside of the canvas to give it a textured feel and add to his to the horror-esque elements of his work. But a favorite painting? God damn. That's tough. I've seen so many. I'll have to keep thinking about it. Oh, there was one time where there was whoa, what's this? Hang on. There was one time where at the time I made my first persona, and sister who didn't draw at the time said that I didn't have green eyes or ginger hair. Oh yeah. And it's like, well, that doesn't look like you. Yeah, but I think it looks cool. How do you make sure a character isn't too tall or too short? Like I said, I got a 7'11" girl. People can be 7'11". Fuck it. Just do it. Have characters. I think this is a great dynamic. This is good. So just fuck it. Have them be really tall. And you can get to play with paneling a lot in a really funny way. If you're drawing comics. So just fire away. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to have your big long characters. Starry Night by Da Vinci. That was not Da Vinci. That was Van Gogh. You got it. You got it. I do like Leonardo da Vinci's works a lot too. Oh man, sculptures are easy. Michelangelo's sculptures are fucking stunning. They're really great. It's a shame he was more popular for his art, or painting the Sistine Chapel, because his sculptures were otherworldly. Hey, that's exactly the dynamic of two of my characters. It's a good dynamic. For David is actually really huge. They're all pretty big, yeah. Which makes sense. He was working with massive blocks, so it makes sense. Still trying to think about what a favorite painting of mine would be. Ho hum. Hum ho. It's hard, because there's so many paintings in the world. I'm about to have some lunch. Have a good rest of the stream. Adios, Mr. Magius. We'll probably be wrapping soon. It's just me looking at this canvas of bullshit and thinking about paintings. I feel like the rough part is I feel like there's an answer that I just can't recall right now. That there's a painting that I'm like, oh, that one's so fucking good, but I just can't conjure in my memory right now. Twiins, can you draw a sexy man? Always. Van Gogh's painting is either magnolias or sakuras. Van Gogh, he's got magnolias or sakuras. I know he's got his sunflowers. Got his sunflowers real good. Homeboy loved drawing sunflowers. It's fucking hot. I should probably wrap up stream sooner rather than later. So I can stop cooking myself under my art tablet. I'm trying to think Speaking of art, Salvador is really good. I do like Dolly a lot as well. Salvador is real stunning shit. Oh man, I do really like Salvador Dali, but I don't know if that's what I'm thinking of. I don't know. I guess I don't have a favorite painting, huh? It was something he did whilst being inspired by Japan. Oh, neato. Makes sense. Here's a flaming hot tip no one asked for. Or you just drawing a character and you're like, fuck, drawing the second eye is so hard. Just don't draw it. Scars are cool. You can have them wink. You can cover that with their hair. Just don't have that other eye. Flamin' hot art advice from your local lazy comic artist. Yeah, I was going to draw a sexy man, and then I made fucking this hair. I'm sweltering to death. I think I need to stop stream. I think I need to stop streaming so I can get out from under this art tablet. So I'm going to stop. So I can stop overheating. That's as far as we got with our sexy boy. But yeah, we're gonna end this here. I am warm. So thanks for being here. Hope you had fun. I need to drink fucking water. Goodbye. Adios. See you later. Make smart choices. I'll see you on the flip side.